A very good evening. Welcome to Elite TV and you're watching Open Debate in English. I'm your host CHONGTHAM, AMRITA, and today we bring you the topic foreign hand or domestic hand. For years, India has often blamed unseen foreign hands for prolonged unrest, deflecting attention from domestic issues that may be at the root cause. This pattern is now playing out in the ongoing Meitei and Kuki conflict in Manipur, which is now 1.5 years with no resolution in sight. Many in Manipur, including the state government, are beginning to hold the central government accountable for this crisis and their failure to secure peace in the state. Even the national media, experts and others, however, continue to speculate now about a foreign influence in the violence. Yet some believe that if domestic issues were addressed with strength and transparency, any foreign interference would hold little sway. And today we are here to discuss the extent to which foreign interference impacts the Manipur conflict. To discuss and debate on this matter, let us take a moment to introduce and welcome our expert panelists for tonight. Our first panelist is JODHA and SATYAJEET Bureau Chief UNI JODHA. Welcome to Open Debate. Our second panelist for tonight is JODHA HEIKRUJAM, human and environmental rights activist. JODHA, welcome to Open Debate.
Thank you.
And our third panelist for tonight is PAOJEL CHAOBA, Executive Editor, The Frontier, Manipur. Welcome to Open Debate, JODHA.
Thank you.
Now I'll start with JODHA SATYAJEET first. The thing about the influence of foreign influence in the Manipur crisis, now it has taken the center stage in the mainstream media as well. Now the national media and even the public are increasingly now focusing on this foreign influence in Manipur's violence. And now the thing is, the question that's upcoming is that, is this narrative of a foreign influence trying to deflect, or is this an escape route for the failing leadership at the state and the national level? Do you think that this perspective and this narrative is undermining what is really at the cause of the crisis in Manipur? What do you think, JODHA? Please take it away.
Thank you, Amrita, and my greetings to both the other panelists. Amrita, I would start by saying that we are going through a crisis. This is a very serious crisis, and we have lost so many, innumerable number of precious lives. We have lost, during the last few days also, we have seen series of attacks also. Before coming to the issue, I would like to address one issue. The issue is, this is the peak agricultural season. For the last 1 year, our farmers, including women and children, they have been working very hard, tilling the agricultural lands, putting all their hard-earned money, so that they can live the next year very peacefully by getting a good harvest. And during this crisis, to stop the activities of the farmers, some of the Kuki militants or terrorists, they have been attacking our farmers. I think that the Manipur government should understand that if we do not stop the activities, we may have a famine this year itself. So I think this, I would like, taking the opportunity of this discussion, I would first address this issue. And the second issue is, I think, forget about the foreign interest, forget about other issues. I think even the government of India has forgotten that there is a state called Manipur in the northeastern corner of India, because it is incomprehensible. Because if you look, even if we say that BJP is a staunch Hindu supporters, and if you remember, and I remember a story from Mahabharata, when the grand old man Bhishma, he refused to fight with Sikhandi, because Sikhandi, he was a woman in the previous birth. That means in Hindu philosophy, we, the people, do not attack women and children. And when people start attacking women and children, that is the lowest point of hypocrisy, and those are terrorist activities. That is not acceptable in the idea of the Hindu philosophy. Then if you look at our philosophy also, Manipuri philosophy, Meitei philosophy, and all other communities in this world, that it is the duty of the people, it is the duty of the citizens to protect women and children, that we have not been able to do, because you might have seen that just 2 days ago, a woman was shot dead, and today also the attack continued. And if the trend continues, we can forecast that during the next few days also, the Kuki militants will be attacking farmers, irrespective of whether they are women or children. So I think this is the time we realize that we are not dealing with normal people. These are not normal people. People who attack women and children, they are not normal people. So I think this is the second issue which I would like to address. And then the third issue which I would like to address is, since the government of India is not interested in resolving the crisis, this is a time that we hold a Manipur People's Convention. Through this platform, I want to suggest that the people of Manipur should come forward, and they should involve the political leaders, they should involve all the civil societies, all the women bodies and the youth bodies, and they should hold a Manipur People's Convention. And in this convention, we can form a charter, we can have a charter of demands, and we can chart our future, and we can, discuss what we should do next. And this is quite necessary, because the political leaders, they are not able to lead the people at this moment. And the next issue is, I think the government of Manipur now should declare at least two major districts, or three major districts. One is Churachampur district, the Kampokpi, and Technopal as illegal terror drug affected area, because these three districts, this is completely affected by illegal immigrants, drug, and terror. These, out of the large number of districts in India, they say that there are about 787 districts in India. Out of 787 districts of India, 3 districts are afflicted with serious disease. This we should consider. And I think the government of India and the government of Manipur should tie up. They should put their head together, and they should form a plan to resolve this issue, so that normal people like all of us sitting here, we can go to Mau, we can go to More, and we can go to Jiribam without any problem, without any hindrance also. This is the next issue which I want to address. And the next issue is, I think the political class, I think it is a time to ask them to be little active also, because we have 60 legislators, we have 3 MPs, and we should ask them, we should request them to force the government of India and government Manipur to respond in a positive manner. Because when political leaders speak, the media and the government take it very seriously. When we speak, the government does not take it very seriously. So I think our political leaders, especially we have a very firebrand 2 MPs in the Lok Sabha. I think they should now start, discussing with the people on how we should speak, especially in New Delhi, so that people living in the national capital, they can start reacting. And the next issue which I would like to have is, I think we should start an awareness campaign, especially in the national capital. In the national campaign, and in this issue, I would like to come to your question directly, because we have to inform the people, especially living in the national capital, because those are the people who decide what we should do and what we should not do, because they are the main people, and they decide what is happening and what is not happening in the country. They are very responsible person, and we should deal with them directly now, I think. And when we deal with them directly, we should inform them what exactly is the situation. We need to inform that in 1881, the population of Kukis was just 10,000. And now after the election, their representatives was just 6. Now they have 10 MLAs now. And the population was about 5 to 6 times less than the population of the Nagas. Now it is almost same. So we have to inform our political class that this is not a problem which originated in our own state. This has something to do with external issue. Because when the Britishers left us, they left us as a bogey of problems. The boundary issue. For example, if you look at the Manipuri boundary also, because when the Treaty of Yandabo was signed, Manipur government was not in a, at that time, Manipur was an Asiatic power, but it was not in a power to negotiate, because the Britishers had helped them to restore independence at those time. After that, when we lost Cabo Valley, the boundary demarcation, because we lost lots of the Meitei village and Naga villages. That is why we have problems with the Naga friends, especially the Tangkhuls. They have problems because lots of Tangkhuls are still lying in Myanmar. So that is those issues which has to be dealt with seriously. So when the Britishers left, they did it deliberately so that they can later involve and they can create problems also. And the other issue is we have different religions. They are very good Baptist Christians, and we are both Hindus, and then Sanamahi. Then we follow some Buddhists also, and Muslim also. We have a mixed population. We follow all the religions. But the problem is when they start coming here, they have not just become good citizens. They have not become good citizens, and they seem to be controlled by some people. And we believe that the Western powers, they have a strong hand in controlling our Kuki militants and their leaders, because slowly and slowly the indigenous population, especially among the Kukis, is that their leaders have been supplanted by leaders who have come from outside. All the UG's leaders, they are from Myanmar. They are none of them are indigenous Manipuris. So I think we have to inform all this with concrete data to the central leaders, so that they can take a decisive action in this aspect also. And there are certain other issues also, because since so many people have informed that even the Mizoram Chief Minister himself said that they want to form a separate Christian state. Even forget about state, about a nation. This is complete sedition. This is complete treason. If anybody from Manipur had spoken, they would have been arrested. They would have been convicted under National Security Act, and they would be declared unlawful organization. So many things would have been done. In Manipur, if any of us speak such a matter, we would have all gone to jail. But the problem is, some people, they have been treated as holy cows. They can say anything, they can do anything. And the government of India, they should start, informing that they should act as good citizens. Otherwise, they should be dealt with seriously. The government in India is not serious. It seems that the government has left us to anything. Whether you kill each other, whether you love each other, it is your problem. The government of India, it seems, has washed off its hands from the problem of Manipur. And I think it is the people of Manipur who should start thinking by holding a convention on what we should do next. Thank you.
From Oja Satyajeet, the very point about raising a convention as a platform for discussion to charter out any future plans, and also to change the narrative or to fight the narrative, and also especially to do it in the national capital, is indeed a very actionable step. And then Oja, I'll come back to you again in the next round. Now moving on with this discussion, I'll come to JODHA HEIKRUJAM, that regarding this very focus, this big focus on a foreign hand interfering with Manipur violence, or even suggesting so much as that it has caused this ethnic violence last year. Do you think that this is a deflection from the internal domestic issues? And also, my question to you is that if the internal matters are handled assertively by the local or even the state government, that these kinds of foreign influences, even if they are present, could be lessened at some point. What do you think about that, JODHA?
The present conflict, starting from the last May 3rd, this is not a local issue that within a state can solve the problem.
Okay.
That's why it given extended since from the May 3rd. Because as you know very well, before the conflict started, some Christian missionaries from the United States came to Chanpur, and they share everything, like what to do, what not to do. And from their missionaries, we the community, all right, these missionaries, they share wrong informations for the unifications to make Christian Christian religions for all at one platform, they share, they create hatred amongst the community, those who are living in our states. And this is not the case that we are facing with, as we have seen many, funds coming from the Israel in relations with this present conflict. And apart from that, even I have mentioned in many news discussions, even I have mentioned in my paper, written statement in United Nations, and even I mentioned during my intervention in Human Rights Councils. The present conflict, why it's further, the main problem that our present conflict is further is, there is geopolitical games happening in our states. Mainly the big players are from the Western countries and the Middle Eastern countries. When I say the Middle Eastern countries, obviously comes Israel. And for the Western countries, and I won't mention over here, why they took part this present conflict is like this Middle Eastern Western countries, from by its history of supporting insurgent groups worldwide with their alliance, where they have a basic, interest, the common interest with the local, where they want to play geopolitical games, in South and Southeast Asia, in order to weakening the Chinese and Chinese alliance. As we have heard, like from the Bangladesh incidents, regarding before Sheikh Hasina resigned from the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she already mentions about what these Western countries want, mainly for to play geopolitical games. So there is a big hand from the Western countries in the present conflict. See, when they want to come some places, they need someone that they can contact to each other, so for their common interests. So they align with this tin cookie narco terrorists since from the beginning of the conflict, and that's why it's further our conflict more and more. So the conflict, it's like our present conflict is like battlefield, the proxy battlefield that we are facing with, not only from the local interest, not only from the national interest, not only from the international interest. That's three players are playing our present conflict.
Okay.
And also why our Indian states fail to protect our present conflict is based on these factors. And as you know very well, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi didn't speak a single word in relations with our present conflict. Mm-hmm. So mentally, I believe that because, as I told you, like there is a Western hand in our present conflict, and this Western hand was keenly befriend with our Indian government. That's why, as I believe that our Indian government, didn't give any interest to solve the present conflict that we are facing from last 3rd May. And also these things, even as regarding the JODHA project, they have been planning from the last 2 to 3 decades, where they want to form unification of their, nations, where they are living in, apart from our, which are far away from our countries, like which are living in, Bangladesh, Chittagong Hintrig, and Chin state of Myanmar. So it's not like a basic, local problem that can solve in the locally, but it's far away from the local conflict that we are facing with. That's why it's further our conflict from the 3rd May. I must share up to here.
Very good points again, JODHA HEIKRUJAM. Regarding that, you mentioned that there is indeed a very stark presence of a Western hand in the guise of religion as well, and you mentioned regarding fundings from Israel, which is very dubious. And again, the thing is that for telltale signs of any kind of foreign interference is regarding suspicious fundings. Now, I'll take that point over to our next panelist.
I just want to add one point.
Yes, sure. Yes, sure.
Okay, so if this Chin cookie narco terrorists, they are a small player, if they are a small player,
right,
it can be solved by our state easily. Mm-hmm. So they have a big connections apart from their state, from the worldwide, they have well connected. That's why it's further. That's why I mean to say, like, they are fully, in hand, our present conflict with the foreign hands.
They have a lot of backings.
our present conflict. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Now, taking
Yeah.
that point to Oja PAOJEL CHAOBA is that regarding the foreign fundings, this is one of the telltale and surely a big sign saying that says that there is a foreign hand involved with foreign funds and also dubious foreign accounts in bank accounts. Now, last year, the Financial Intelligence Unit under an investigation reported that there is very suspicious cash inflows for about at least 150 accounts from they have flagged about 150 accounts saying that these are dubious with the amount of cash inflows that these accounts are having. Now, the Financial Intelligence Unit is under the Revenue Department, which is again under the Ministry of Finance. The question is, if the ministry has this knowledge, why isn't they taking up actions to curb foreign funds inflow into financing such a big war in its own territory?
Actually, I am not that much competent in the financial areas of what funding might be coming from and where it is going to.
Okay.
But the basic thing is like to safeguard the interests of the state or of India, you need certain factors, economics and the social structure, the financial structure, everything that would be included. But the main thing would be at the present situation is the law and order situation at first.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Constitution of India guarantees its citizen is that we have the right to live the way that we like peacefully, to express ourselves, and enshrined under Article 21. So what is happening in India, there are so many things, but what we are concerned about is what's happening in our state right now. So this is a bone of contention, but I would say with regard to your question of funds coming in here and there, of course, funds will be there, funds will be coming in, there will be lots of gray areas, involvement of certain organizations, maybe in regard to other countries bordering India. And it's not just about the funds, but the end objective of what can happen. We can say that India has got its own very good financial strength. So how much of that can disturb Manipur? That is another question. But for me, what really I feel is important is that the government has all its various departments within the Revenue Department, the Enforcement Directorate, you name it. But there's so much fraudulent issues happening domestic, and of course international. We have seen many of that in Manipur in some time. There are people arrested, and there are people who have opened fake bank accounts in the name of someone else. So financially, that is another issue. But how is the government trying to ease the lives of its citizens here, especially Manipuris in our state? You can see that the whole economy has, in a way, crashed, and the inflation is at its highest with 10 point something, and we are having a big issue with procurement of basic items like cooking gas, like rice. The amount of money for 1 kg of rice has gone up to 55 rupees and even now to 60 rupees. So one thing is for the government to handle the things or whatever the finance transactions that are happening. That's for the ED and for the economic wing to solve, not our criteria. It's a part of the government to maintain that particular area also and to curb whatever needs to be done. But what I feel right now is that the whole situation in Manipur, the state government, including the state government, of how we are going to survive. As one of my panelists has pointed out, that this is the season where you go and look after your crops, time for harvest season. And if you don't eat, how will you survive? And when the economy has crashed, that is another bigger problem than all the foreign funding and etc., etc., what might be going on. and that is not my area of interest, but actually what's going to happen in the state, especially with regards to farmers, with regards to people below the poverty line, including even us also. So this is one thing that we have to look on is like, excuse me, is that we have to look after our economy in such a way that we have to be able to make sure that we can rise to the occasion. We can try to make our state, I would say, a little bit independent.
Very
Independent in the with
Dr. CHAOBA.
regard to our economy.
That
So this is one of the main focus that we should do.
Yes, the core internal issues, the core domestic issues, that the essential services, they need to be focused first, the internal matters, because at this point the people of Manipur are barely surviving, to be honest. And also, as our earlier panelist has pointed out, that we can be even at the risk of a famine if this situation is let gone to this extreme. So Ajay, I'll come back to you again in the next round. Now moving on that and taking the key points from the first round. Now coming back to SATYAJEET, panelists also have mentioned that there are some foreign hands, in fact, especially Western power funding these things to happen in Manipur. And on that note, now there is an issue. Even Sheikh Hasina recently pointed out that there is a Western hand trying to carve out a Christian state in Bangladesh, and that is the reason that these riots took place in Bangladesh. And in fact, we see throughout history that riots usually precede after this kinds of foreign invasions or foreign coming into a country and then establishing itself as in power. But the thing about Bangladesh is that now with the election victory of Donald Trump in the US, since Donald Trump has a preference for India, do you think that this the geopolitics that played out before November could still continue after his election? Because we know that Donald Trump has a preference for India and that he has a willing bilateral ties to continue with the US-Indo relations as before, and also he has very strict rules regarding invasion, and against he's completely against war and again dominating again in other countries. Now, taking all of that into account, and with the things that we have been discussing regarding foreign hands, foreign fundings, and also in relation to the Manipur conflict, do you think that this theory will still hold weight, and how do you think this will play out now?
Amrita, I will first spell out the official relations which the United States has with the government of India. The United States officially will say that it is not interested, or it will not interfere in the internal affairs of India. Officially, it will say that. Second issue is United States is going through a crisis now, because if you look at how Trump won, they said people of United States, no, they are not happy with the way they are dealing with the Israel crisis, because the government of the United States is pumping about $3 billion every year to Israel. Then the United States is also inclined towards walking away, not from the Russian-Ukraine crisis also, because it cannot involve in all the wars in all the fronts of the world. And then it has resulted in the people of the United States voting out Joe Biden also. This is one aspect of the theory that why Donald Trump won. And then the other issue is United States, the people also, they felt overburdened because due to the money they spent in all the NATO, Israel, and other countries also. And in this time, United States is trying to sell some weapons to India also, because India is predominantly reliant on Russian weapons. All the T-72 tanks are from Russia. All the fighter planes are from Russia. Even the submarines are from Russia. But recently, the government of India and the United States, they have signed a deal where they will, United States will sell to India anti-submarine weapons. So I think officially the government of the United States government officially will not interfere in the internal affairs of India also. And Manipur is a very small state, I would say, and I think their secret agents, their spies, they may be interested, I think. And Donald Trump is 78 years old now. I myself wonder if he knows what exactly is Manipur. So I think we have to be a little practical also, because we cannot keep blaming the, as you asked in the first time, we can't blame the external powers also. We have to blame our own government, we have to blame our own people, we have to blame ourselves for the failure to maintain peace, to provide security. And I think, as I suggested in the first round, here also I would pitch for for a democratic process in Manipur through which we can achieve peace. I think the first initiative, I think, is since we have been denied all the 6 fundamental rights provided by the Constitution for the last about 16 to 17 months, and if the constitutional rights are not given by the government, if the High Court and the Supreme Court can issue writs to the executive, then they will be duty bound to act. And I think we need to invoke Article 32 and Article 226 of the Indian Constitution, through which we can request and we can appeal, or we can go to the High Court and the Supreme Court to make the executive in the sense the government of Manipur and the government of India to act and to restore, to enable people of Manipur to travel on the highway. And if you look at the real issue also, because we do not even have the right to live also, because as we discussed earlier also, as what the panelists have pointed out, we are facing a existential crisis. We do not have LPG. We have problems in procuring petroleum products. Most of the oil depots are closed down during the last few days of blockade by the Naga organizations. Most of the oil depots are closed down today also, so most of them were closed down, and just after 4 or 5 days of economic blockade, things are not available here. And if you look at all the crises, even the farmers, they are also crying. And if you look at the poultry farmers, they are saying that they are not having food also. I think the primary focus of the government should be to provide food, livelihood, and to ensure security to the people, because it is the primary duty of the government of India and the government of Manipur to protect lives and property of the people, of all citizens. And I think we should also remind the government of India that we are also citizens of this country. We are not just pawns in a chess game where we can be discarded at will and we can be ignored at will. We have to inform, we have to pressurize the government of India, because whatever we have to do, if you look at the history of Manipur, we got everything through agitations, whether it was statehood, whether it was 8th schedule or whatsoever, because the government of India will never understand the problem which exists in Manipur, because Manipur is very, very far away from New Delhi, and New Delhi only understands the politics of numbers. We have just 2 members of parliament, and the government of India is now really busy with the Maharashtra election. If when we try to discuss this issue, the government of India, especially the Prime Minister and on the Home Minister, all the leaders, what they must be thinking is how to win the next election. I think they are primarily focused on winning elections. What we should request to them is, we should also request them, we should ask them, we should convince them, even we should also force them to start working in the interest of the people also. And we should not be treated like 3rd-class citizens, 4th-class citizens. We should be treated as humans, as treated as fellow Indians. And we have been repeatedly saying, if this similar crisis had happened somewhere else, what would the government of India have done? And if when a woman was shot dead, at Saiton by Kuki militants, no political leaders from New Delhi, they condole. And if you look at the condolence messages, if you look at the PIB website, I normally check all the press statement condolences issued by the PMO office. So far, the PMO has never condole the death of any woman or children, who died in Manipur during the crisis or in normal crisis also. That means the lives of people in Manipur, whether women or children, they do not matter in the minds of the political class living in New Delhi. They are living in a world where they think that they are superpowers. When in their own homes, people are not able to live, people are not able to eat, people are not able to drink. And I think if you just imagine a situation where New Delhi is blocked for about 16 months. None of the citizens living in New Delhi are not ever able to move out. I mean, there will be a national crisis. And when we are facing similar crisis, this is not a crisis. And if you look at the way the central leaders issue statements, they are all very contradictory also. They do not give a concrete statement. They just give a statement for statement's sake. They do not try to understand the problem also, and they don't want to resolve the crisis also. What they simply want is the crisis to end on their own. And what I think what really the central leaders must be thinking is, I think they seem to think that this is a crisis in Manipur. People are fighting. They look all the same, all Mongolids, all with small eyes. They are fighting among themselves, and they should resolve it themselves. And I think they also do not know how to resolve the crisis because they are not interested. If they are not interested, they will not know how to resolve. And if somebody wants to solve the problem, they should understand solve the problem also. When they do not know what Manipur is, when they don't know where Manipur lies, when they don't respect the people and the land of the people, when they don't respect the history of the area, how will they resolve our crisis? And I think that is why I personally feel that people of Manipur should stop thinking about external forces, should stop thinking about what the government of India is thinking. I think this is the time we all come together. And I think we should do it in a very proactive, in a very with a political leadership also, with sanity also. Because what happens is when people are angered in Manipur, what normally they do is they attack the houses of leaders. They block the roads. This is not a time to attack our leaders. This is not a time to blame ourselves. I think this is time we should put our heads together, and rather than blaming ourselves, we should also put our efforts together so that we can find a way out of the crisis which we are facing today. Otherwise, our next generation, they will be blaming us, and they will be saying that our previous generation, they didn't love us, they didn't work, and they didn't do enough to protect the people of Manipur. And we are allowing external forces, we are allowing people who are not indigenous to occupy all our lands, to rename all our places, to occupy all our ancestral places, even our religious place like Thangjing, Ibadau, Kobru, all our ancestral places, they have been occupied by illegal immigrants, and we are allowing it to happen, and it is our failure. And I think if we understand the real problem, we should come together and fight together. Thank you.
Indeed, Oja, yes, I think that is what has been raised by a lot of people in several platforms, that we should take these matters in our hands first before relying or even blaming the central leadership, because the thing is that New Delhi is very far away, as Oja has mentioned, and New Delhi is most of the time interested in the number games, because Manipur has only 2 seats in terms of electoral outcomes. It doesn't hold too much importance in terms of electoral outcomes. So indeed, Oja, you mentioned a very good point, saying that there needs to be someone who knows the history of the region and the complexities, and also to have lived in this area to understand it fully in order to come to a solution. Now, taking that point, I'd like to put that point to JODHA again. JODHA, earlier you mentioned that there is indeed a Western influence in this crisis, and that this crisis, which is the Kuki and Meitei ethnic conflict, has been brewing. The idea of Jalingam has been brewing since the past 2 decades. Even though that is true, currently, don't you think that the state elected leaders, the political leaders of the state, they still have a power to look inward and also try to fix what is broken first before before trying to connect with the central leadership, before waiting for the central leadership's orders in for what to do, because these people, the people that we have elected, they know this land, they know the complexities that we face. Why not try to fix the economy first? Why not make the law and order be felt in the far-flung areas of Manipur? Why not take a look and also ensure that the two national highways are free to bring in our essential commodities into the state, and also to be able to redistribute them to those who need it, and also all the benefits. The thing is that there is so many things that the political leaders of the state can do in their power without waiting for a say-so from the central leadership. Do you think that even if there is a foreign hand that the central, or waiting for the central leadership, the state government needs to initiate some actions that needs to say that yes, we are here for you and we are ready to take these steps in order to resolve this? What are your thoughts?
Well, Amrita, India is a democratic country, and we have democracy is very beautiful in words and on paper, but when it comes to India, you know, even we are unable to ask where is the democracy in the state of Manipur. As you had mentioned regarding the failure of the government, not only our state, even our the central government. As I mentioned, India is a democratic country, and legislature have a big power in many states, not only in our state, as a whole, nations of our country. But the only problem is our state's legislature have failed to unite to each other. Not only our legislature, even our NGOs and our CSO, you know, in order to want their supremacy, you know, they are unable to unite each other to solve the problem that we are facing with since from the beginning of the conflict. So as I mentioned, like legislature have a big power, but you know, where here they used to mention like a ruling party, you know, an opposition party, they keep on going and they are unable to, you know, they are unable to come at one point to solve the problem. So if they are united each other, maybe or from the different political party, it can be solved easily so that they can check the center from one point, from one voice of our states. But as you know, many legislature were failed to get appointments with the government, with the Prime Minister of India from many time. Even that also, that's why there's the reasons like why the Indian government have unable to give appointment to those legislature to share our problem. So this is also a main problem that our you know, the present conflicts unable to solve by the Union government of India. And come to the law and order, see, it's not the first time that our state fails on you know, law and order. It's from the last decades. Our states failed to maintain our law and order. Basically, mentally in the, you know, hilly states. Sometimes, as you can see, like, you know, if there is a common operations or such operations going, it's going to be happens. Mainly, it happened in our in the valley area. But when you see in the hilly area, it's very rare that the, you know, the government, our state government, did such kind of, you know, such operations. So there are so many, you know, differences between the valley and the, you know, hilly area, which are totally, you know, drastically different, or how our states running their law and order. And also regarding, as you mentioned about national highways, this is also not the first case that we are facing with. If these hilly people, not only, without mentioning any community, if they didn't, you know, satisfied for their, you know, these things demands, you know, obviously they will block the national highway and will interrupt the, you know, peoples who are living in the valley, those who are, you know, who are taking help, who are, you know, dependent on the highway. They are very, you know, get crisis in a day-to-day lives. And because of that reason also, our economic has also crippled, you know, have to, as the economics says, this is not only 10%, which it's more than 30% that we are cripple our economic inflation that we are facing with. So it's a completely failure our state's law and order. That's why, you know, in hill area there is some law and order, in a valley area there is some law and order. So if the center or if the union governments want to help our crisis, our you know, violence starting from the method, it can be solved easily. But I ask myself, like, what is the agenda that, you know, our center, you know, are not helping those citizens who are, you know, killings every day by Chinkoki narco terrorists. They're also not, they are not indigenous, they are coming from the Myanmar, they are coming from the Bangladesh, who are attacking their own citizens, and they are watching since from the May 3rd. But there will be some agenda, like their needs, they are getting something from this community, mainly these Chinkoki narco terrorists. If they don't have any interest from this community, the government of India or Union government of India or the center will definitely involve our, you know, crisis at the day one. But as you know about you know, Kaladan project, look its policy. There are so many things that government of India may need help this community. Because of that reasons, our Union government of India, you know, didn't take any serious our crisis since from the beginning. I'm sure up to here.
Yes, indeed. The key focus here seems to be the crippling economy of the state, as our panelists have also highlighted before. And now I'd like to take that point to PAOJEL CHAOBA, as he also has said on similar lines regarding the scarcity of essential commodities that the people are currently facing. Now, Oja, the thing is that you also mentioned that before looking for away from the state, and if there is foreign hand involved, or is it the hands of the Indian government first, we should take stock of the situation within the state first. Now, Oja, the thing is that yesterday, just 2 days ago, a woman was murdered in broad daylight by Kuki militants, and at that time there was central security forces present in the field, and as the reports have said, that they could not catch the attackers, and they were reluctant to catch or even fire back to them because of the operations or many agreements that are they are tying their hands. And also the thing is that even the state police was also there in the vicinity. The thing is that why is the state forces not going after the attackers? Why are the state forces sitting duck, like they have no power over them? Because we can even regarding the national highways, the state forces can still take up a lot of actions in ensuring free flow of traffic of trucks to reach the destinations that are carrying our essential commodities. Now, if we are going to look inward and also fix the internal problems by ourselves first, I think the state forces need to be empowered to make the law and also their power felt, and they need to take the first steps in order to bring about some order in this war-torn state, be it regarding attacks by Kuki militants in the far-flung areas, or also in regarding to the blockades or the issues that is currently plaguing the national highways. What do you think, that the state forces are being tied in their hands by some higher power, or do you think that the state forces are not actively pursuing their or enforcing their power?
See, what I've witnessed from day one, since the beginning of this conflict, is like we have our own state forces, very, very capable state force, state police force, in fact, commando personnel. I think there's about roughly approximately 35,000, including Manipur rifles, the police commandos, etc., IRB, you name it. So on top of that, we have got another 60,000 different security forces, paramilitary, and the army. So what I feel is like Manipur actually has its own very skilled police who can handle a law and order situation, who are well versed in handling different type of situations, who have been there in the past. So many incidents are there because we have Armed Forces Special Powers Act. And there are so many human rights issues which have cropped up from time to time. Manorama issue, the Greater Nagaland issue, you name it, it's all been there. And as we have seen the protests, Manipur police are quite capable of handling any type of situation that I am very confident of. As a journalist, I have seen how they work and I have seen how they have controlled people, crowds, riots, etc. But what a new problem here is that this induction of new paramilitary forces like the Rapid Action Force, where we saw last time that students were shot with pellet guns and many were very, very badly and seriously wounded. So the question here is like, why all these special troops, these special forces, the extra muscle that I must say. So why is the muscle not being used? When the Indian government has got everything under its thumbs, be it infrastructure, be it finances, be it manpower, everything is there. So why is the reluctancy in handling this situation, which could have been resolved a long, long time back? So one feels that deliberately some hands may be tied, and some people have, as you have the horses pointed out, that some have their hands tied, and we are not so sure who's controlling our security forces, the state forces also, because the chief minister has said that the unified command is no longer in his ambit, that it is with someone else. So how is state functioning? What type of state we are in? Are we under some sort of a pseudo government? It is some sort of a pseudo president rule, or some sort of a hybrid system of governance which is being carried out in Manipur with this conflict situation. So what I'm trying to say is that there's enough manpower, there's enough infrastructure, there's everything that can be used to bring about certain relative calm, to have at least a better law and order scenario. But instead, what we can see from the last few days is that, as you have pointed out, women being killed, and today 11 cookies are also shot down by the CRPF at Jiribam, Borobekra. So if the army, the paramilitary forces are able to exercise restraint and also go to the offensive, I think it's about time that the police, including all the other this military force that we have, should be used to control the situation in Manipur. So we don't have that much problem in the valley. We have got in the fringe areas, in all directions, okay. But those fringe areas can be controlled easily by the armed forces, the paramilitary forces, the BSF, the RF, the CRPF, everyone is there. So the question what we need to put out here is like, why are they remaining mute spectators in this particular situation? And is the conflict being led to brew, to stir the pot occasionally, and for what objectives? That is something that we should also discuss about. And the end objective of the Indian government to keep the pot boiling in Manipur, and with all this security, enough security provisions that we have. So I feel that there is something more than what meets the eye that is happening in Manipur right now, and we should all exercise a little bit of caution on what are the other objectives, so that it might bring about or is going to make or break our state. Is going to be something like Kashmir or Jammu and Kashmir situation, which we may wake up to one day. So I think there are a lot of possibilities happening here, and a lot of experimentation maybe with the covert plans of the Indian government, but that remains to be seen. But what I'm trying to stress here is on like, if the center, if the state wants tranquility and peace, definitely there can be so much that can be done.
Yes, indeed. I think on that note, we will have to end today's program. I think the key point, the key takeaway in today's discussion is that if the state government and even the central government is willing to truly end this violence and bring peace to the state, there are so many resources at play and already disposed within the state that can be utilized to bring whatever steps that can be taken in order to bring about peace. But still, the delay itself raises a lot of questions, and hence there are so many issues and talks about if there are foreign hands, if there are ulterior motives, and so many other things. Now, on that note, I'd like to end today's program as due to time constraints. I'd like to thank our panelists again for joining us. SATYAJEET, JODHA, HEIKRUJAM, and PAOJEL, CHAOBA, for giving us your thoughts and your insights. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. We will be back again next Monday with more exciting topics. This is your host signing off for tonight. Have a good week.